All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for spending your nice Saturday morning with us. And this morning, we would like to thank Civil Service Club for this opportunity for us to get to know about silencing your negative chatters. And we have with us Kelly, who is a professionally certified coach, and she will take us through this. And if you are here, it will be nice for you to on your camera so that we can interact with you, right? So I hope that you can on the camera so that we later on in the Q&A at least we can see some faces, and maybe we can even take a group photo later on. Yeah. Okay, so is without further ado, let me introduce to you Kelly, and her topic is silencing your negative chatters. And if you're watching on my YouTube channel, iamseoking.com, we welcome you watching live here, and we're gonna hand over the reins to Kelly. Over to you, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Eugene. And hello, everyone. Good morning. So let me just have a little poll right into the chat in terms of how are you guys feeling on a Saturday morning? Please let me know into the chat. Type in your answers. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. Maybe I am. I don't know. Maybe some of you may not be that great. I think that's totally fine as well. Okay, so I just want to have a sense of where all of you are in the room. It's a good start. Thank you, Hui Fang. Okay, well done. Of being the first person. Okay, good and excited to learn. Okay, Eugene says that. Thank you. I'm very excited as well, right, this morning, because this topic is really very close to my heart. It's something that I have been helping leaders and professionals working through all these limiting beliefs, negative chatters in their lives. And of course, I have done that myself as well over the last, many years ago, maybe perhaps even when I was 20s, right? This is really something that is affecting me. And I have the privilege, of course, besides helping people, I also work through it on myself as well. So I'm very excited to be here to really share for some of these strategies and some of the things that will be able to help all of you. So let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, what about the rest? Okay. Only two of you have replied. Okay. I hope that is a good start. It's a good morning so far. And let's get started. What we'll be talking about today is these four things. All right. Glad to be here as well. Okay. Glad to see you, Jay. The link in the email didn't work. Okay. So I let Eugene help you with that. Okay. Now, this is what we'll be talking about today. The four things that's really, really important in order to silence our negative chatters, right? So if you think about it, what is really negative chatters? Negative chatters are those things that's always in our mind, right? Ringing in our mind, the thoughts that we have that affects our effectiveness. And therefore, in order to be able to talk about silencing them, okay, you see, firstly, I have to share this, all right? It's not a session where we want to see it totally disappear. All right, 100%, because all these negative thoughts, negative chatters may not be 100% gone. But what we want to see is that we want to be able to see the reduction in it so that we are more in control of all these negative thoughts rather than allowing the negative thoughts to take over our lives. So in order to silence it, in order to reduce it, these are the four things that we really need to talk about. That's really, really important. Number one is to appreciate the working of our mind, how our mind works. We need to be able to know this frenemy, enemy plus friend, right? Okay, and we need to be aware of our emotions and thoughts. We need to be able to accept our thoughts, and we need to be able to take appropriate actions as well, which is the 4 points that we are going to really go in depth in. So a little bit about myself as well, just so that you know who is this person, Kelly, all right? So I have close to 12 years of experience helping leaders and working professionals thrive in a career and life. So people do come to me primarily because they have a lot of different things that affect their effectiveness at work in their career, namely limiting beliefs. Sometimes there's a lot of emotions that's really a bit complex, a bit hard to manage. So these are the people I've helped them to experience more happiness and career success and having greater fulfillment in their lives. So that is a little bit about me. I'm a coach. I'm also a professional counselor as well. Now, so a question for all of us to kickstart this morning, right? And this is what I really want all of you to think about. how do negative chatters look like in your life? Let me know into the chat. You can unmute as yourself as well, because this is a very interactive sharing. You may actually unmute yourself, share your answers, and write that in the chat as well. And of course, along the way, if you do have any questions, please drop them into the chat, because I will be able to see your questions and able to answer your questions as well.
I think one of the thing for me is I can't do it.
Okay, I
Yeah,
can't do it, right?
I can't do it.
Thank you, Eugene, right? So it's the thought about, I can't,
So I
right?
pass to Pafma now.
I'll
Pass
throw
the hot
the
potato.
ball. I like that, Eugene. Thank you for
Okay, for me, I think it's like I get these remarks every time. It's not personally for me. People always say no.
okay. So
Everything that I want to do, no, don't do it, don't do it. You cannot do it, don't. So the word no, it gives me jitters.
right, wow. Okay, thanks for sharing. Right, so when people tell you no, you're like, I don't, how does it feel like, But it could be like, it's very frustrating, right? Very anxious. I don't know. Sometimes it could be, right? Thank you, Pasma, for sharing that. Any other people? So sometimes it could be an image, right? It could be literally like what you just said, I can't do it. Or it could be really what people said that affects you, right? Giving you the jitters, giving you, sending you into a frustration mode, right?
I think for me, right, the I can't do it becomes like, it affects my confidence. Actually, I know I can
Uh,
do it, but the more you
right.
say you can't, it kind of affects your confidence.
And thanks for sharing. So this is very much like a imposter syndrome, right? So what imposter syndrome really means, which a lot of my clients suffer from as well, is that we kind of know that technically we are good, right? Because we have all the perhaps experiences, achievements, right? But when things happen, we kind of felt that we're not good enough. All right, we kind of forget about what's really happening in the past. And then, like what Eugene said, yeah, perhaps it affects your confidence as well. And let me share with you what mine look like, okay, through this picture. Okay, I'm not sure whether this resonates with you in terms of, is this what you're really, really having as well? But when I had those negative chatters in my life, right, when I'm in my early 20s, right, and this is really what's happening, right? Everything is in my head. Okay, this thought can lead to the other thought, and the other thought can lead to the other thought. So basically, it's like a whole big mess in my head. It, of course, it affects emotions as well, right? Thinking that our thoughts may affect how we feel, right? And that's where it sends me into like this panic mode and overwhelm mode, where I literally like this man, where like, I just want to shout it out, right? And I found this most appropriate for myself. And this could be what some of us are feeling, right? Where we are feeling that there's too many things in our head. It's very frustrating. Okay, it's making us worried. It's making us feel that I'm not confident, affecting our confidence. And of course, the list goes on and on and on, because it does affect us in different ways. And that's the reason why I want to ask all of you this important question, because we need to know how it looks like in our life before we can even talk about how to have solutions. What kind of solutions can we have in regards to all these negative chatters in our life, right? So that's the very first question, therefore, that I want all of you, okay, those of you who may not have actually written down or even shared, that's okay, but I just want you to really consider, if there is a certain thought that it keeps on replaying in your mind, or does it really look like, this picture here, where you're just feeling very overwhelmed with all these different thoughts in your life? Because the first thing that we really want to talk about is we want to understand and appreciate our brain, all right? Because our brain, our mind, right, is our, just like I said, frenemy. You heard of this word before, right? It's like our enemy. Why? Because it just gives you a lot of different thoughts, right? That sometimes you just felt like, it's like the irritating ants that crawl into your body, and just want to shoo it away. Very irritating. All right. And sometimes it's like your enemy, right? But yet it's our friend, right? Because this is a part of our body. All right. We have a love-hate relationship. So there is a saying that goes, right, in Chinese, right? You need to know your enemy before you can actually fight a successful war, right? Something like that. Eugene, correct? Okay. So that is where we need to be able to appreciate our brain. And there are some rules of the mind, okay, which we want to really pay attention to, so that we kind of need to know how our brain works. And then we want to give what our brain needs. So the first rule of the mind is this, okay? Your mind always does what it thinks you want it to do. Your mind always does what it thinks you want it to do. So let me just check in with all of you again. I think that's very interesting because I want to find out what happens to your mind every Monday morning. Okay, let me know in the chat. When you first wake up in the morning, what are some thoughts that goes through your mind? All right, let me just hear some of your sharings. Just type it into the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself. Lazy lah. Okay, thank you, Eugene. Lazy, want to sleep in more. Yeah, that's what happens to some of us as well. What about the rest? Come, Lina, let's hear from you. Ben, Jay, Angela, Sean.
Come, let's make this interactive so that it's not lecture style. I think it will be quite boring with a lecture style. Yeah, Monday morning engine haven't started yet. Okay, Jay Lee.
Lazy, right? Yeah, Jay. Thank you, Jay. What work I have today? The meetings. Thank you so much. What else? It's very interesting, right? Because Pafma, I'm opposite. Love Monday is raring to go. Wow, awesome. So Pafma, you're like my friend. I have this friend who really loves Monday because Monday that's where she can work, and she hates the weekend because weekend would mean that she is not working, right? So it's the other way. Okay. Now, why I ask this question, right? Because I do have a lot of clients, right? Who, I coach them, right? And these are the things that they say. Monday is always like, can I don't go work? It's gonna be a boring day. I can't do it. It's very overwhelmed, right, by a lot of different work that I have to do, the deadlines, right? And that's what's in their mind. And of course, if you think about it, right, if this is what is in your mind, how do you feel about it throughout the day? Of course, it may affect your day because that's where you start to get overwhelmed, worried, anxious, bored, right? And like what some of you said, I may not want to go to work. I just want to sleep in. It actually does affect, right, your mind. And I got this client who always tells me that, every day when I wake up, I'm thinking that, I don't think I can get the promotion I wanted. I really want to have this career success, this promotion, because it's during the appraisal period, right? But I may not, there's so much competition around because there's a lot of different candidates, right? Yearning for that promotion as well. I may not get it. So every day, this person just replay this in his mind again and again and again. And guess what? So based on this rule of the mind, your mind really does what it wants, what it thinks you want it to do, which means that whatever we put into our mind, it will affect our emotions. All right. But of course, if let's say, okay, just give an example, Pafma say, I'm opposite, right? Love Monday is raring to go. So can you imagine she wakes up and say, hey, wow, this is a wonderful day. Let me interview Pafma a little bit. How do you feel? The moment you say, if you don't mind sharing, if you think that, no, it's a bit too, don't ask me, that's okay. You're open to share how much you want to share. But if you feel that you don't want to, it's okay as well. Yeah. Pafma, is it okay if you, talk about how do you feel, in the Monday morning? How does it affect your emotions throughout the day?
Well, I wake up early because I love, like I say, I love Monday. So I'm always prepared and I prepare in advance. So I don't leave it to chance. So I'm just waiting to get on. The only thing that sets me back is the commuting. I hate commuting. You see,
Okay.
so and I like to be productive during commuting, and that is a period where you will be sardine packed. So
Right.
that is the only thing that I don't like, and that is always a deterrent for me to get on to work or to do anything. But apart from that, I think to me Monday is a beautiful day because I get to work. I get to be productive. So
Yeah.
I love being productive. I love doing things that I like. I like getting on, going back to the office, doing some of the things. So I know that I finish my day, the work on that particular day, and I can get back home to sleep.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
that's all. Yeah.
Thank you, Pafma, right? So you're pretty geared up, right, to be productive because
Yeah.
hearing
Yeah.
from you sounds like, it's really about the mindset, right? Your mind starts right in the morning, right? It helps you to feel good about it and that you're really, really productive.
I
right?
really like the thing, the fact that she's optimizing her time when she's commuting, right, from one place to another. That sounds a bit like me. So that when I'm commuting on Monday mornings, what I'll do is I'll just kind of force myself to do a social media post.
Wow.
Then just post it on LinkedIn, Facebook, and all that lah. So at least you got, oh, okay, one post is out. You really so as I'm commuting, I will be typing my thoughts, and then I'll just post it out as a social media post. So I think that's really good. I don't like commuting so.
Yeah, well done. So we managed to be really productive, right? And of
Yeah.
course, whatever behavior that we are doing or action we are taking, a lot of times it's because of our mind. So that's the number one thing that we really need to know, right? Because whatever we think of, it affects whatever we do, okay, and whatever we feel as well. So that's the first rule. Now, the second rule of the mind, and this is where I want all of you to do a little experiment with me. So this, I need all of you to close your eyes if you can, right? Just close your eyes, and I want you to imagine you holding a lemon in your hand. Okay, I want you to really look at the color. All right, look at the shape of this lemon. Look at the color. All right, feel the texture. And then slowly, I want you to put this lemon closer to your nose. And then you start to smell them. Right? And then what I also want you to do is that I want you to imagine yourself tasting the lemon. Right? Of course, cut the lemon. Okay, let's cut and taste the lemon. Right? Okay, and when you're done tasting the lemon, feeling the lemon, smelling the lemon, you feel that you're ready, then you can start to open your eyes slowly and come back to the room. Okay, how do you feel, everyone? What is your experience like just in that whole less than 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds? Right?
Was a
Incidentally, I did that this morning.
Yeah.
Sorry, Papa.
So
Yeah,
yes,
Papa, go ahead.
I did that this morning. I make it a point to have a lemon, cut it, and whatever you said, I did that this morning. So it's reminding me of what I'm going to do the next day.
All right. How do you feel actually? So you're saying that you literally ate a lemon today, is it?
I cut the lemon today. So
right.
I was juicing it out a bit.
Right.
It perks me up, you see.
Perks you out. Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Right. So just now when you start to think about the lemon again, it kind of reminded you of what happened today.
It brought me a smile actually because I did that this morning, right?
Right.
So it brought me a smile. I mean, lemon citruses, they always perk. They always give you a kind of energy there.
Correct.
So I believe in that, and I somehow or other I always gravitate towards it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were talking about lemon, you see, my brain just went there and said, "Hey, you did that this morning, So it brought a smile to me because I did that, and I can still have that smell permeating through my nose right now.
Wow.
And my hands are still smelling of a bit of lemon there. So
Okay,
because I didn't want to wash it away, so I can still smell it, you see. So yeah, it brought back memories.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Pama, for sharing. Okay, I'm glad that it kind of brought you back to this morning and it helped you to be perked up. And thank you. And Jay says, love the lemon scent and it makes me hungry. Okay, so I opened my eyes and got some food. Haha. Okay, thanks for sharing, right? I love the lemon scent as well. So it helps me during my pregnancy. I got a kind of a bad first trimester. It always helps me, when I smell the lemon. All right. And thank you once again. What about the rest? Is it the same for you?
Mine was quite interesting. The moment you said hold a lemon, my mouth started salivating.
Yeah. Right. It happens.
Yeah, so I could feel the sourness already when you say hold the lemon.
Okay, yeah, and actually that's what a lot of people feel, like sour, salivating. You almost felt like, the saliva coming down. Okay, and once again, thank you for sharing. And the reason why we have all these things, okay, all these experiences is because, once again, going back to the role of the mind, your mind responds to the pictures in your head and the words you say to yourself. So not many of us may be like Pathma, because we don't have literally a lemon in our hand, right? We have not, this morning we didn't eat a lemon, but yet the moment we think about the lemon, I ask you to use your five senses, right? To taste, to touch, to feel, to look, right? I get you to do all these things. And that's where, because of the image in your mind, Jay perhaps love it, yeah, it kind of make you hungry, yeah. Okay, and of course, Eugene also mentioned, I'm salivating, and Puffma perks you out, right? And that's the effects of what thinking about the picture have, right, on all of us. So therefore, the implication for this is that think of the correct image. Everybody, right? We need to think of the correct image. We need to think of the correct words. So that, because it can affect the rest of our life, right? At least, if you talk about day by day, we need to be able to, bring up the correct image so that whatever image that we brings about, it affects, okay, how our life will be, how our day-to-day will be throughout the day. So that's the second rule that I want to share with all of you. Now, the third rule is your mind learns by repetition, right? Whatever that we bring our mind to repeat, it knows, right? And just like this example, right? How many of you love Netflix? You watch Netflix, right? Yeah, you watch Netflix and even YouTube videos as well, right? So what happens is that, for me and my husband and I, right, we've got different accounts, right? So different accounts, you really watch different things, he prefers all this, perhaps all the action, Marvel, all the different genre, right? For me, I prefer all maybe the comedy and all, right? And sometimes thriller as well. So because what you watch on repeat, right? The Netflix knows they've got this algorithm, and somehow it will suggest some movies to you, and it will also tell you that, this movie or this show matches like 90% of what you've been watching, right? And that's how it works for Netflix. Okay, for YouTube as well, they will suggest all these things to you because you have been watching all these things on repeat. And same thing, right? Because whatever you have been putting in your mind on repeat, your mind knows. And the next moment when you think about it, let's say, wow, what a morning, it's a good morning, right? Because that's on repeat, it will give you the good effects of it, right? However, sometimes, if every morning we wake up and say, wow, oh no, Monday blue. Actually, some of people that I know have Friday blues as well. Okay, so imagine, wow, every day is like a blue day, blue morning, and that's where your body also gives you the effect. And it can also make us stressed or overwhelmed or anxious, right? Depending on what you brings out on repeat to your mind. And because of that, we need to believe that we make our beliefs, right? We need to acknowledge this very important truth, right? We make our beliefs and our belief make us. And perhaps all of us may have thought of, may have seen these words, this statement before: you are what you think. Have you? You are what you think, right? You are what you think. You become who you are because of what you think. So that is the first part that we have talked about, all right? The appreciating of the brain. And that's where we have this problem that a lot of people have. And, throughout my experience of working with clients, this is the number one problem that a lot of people have, right? Including myself years in the past. So this problem is we want to get rid of unwanted negative thoughts because all these thoughts are detestable, right? Very, it's really something that we don't want, right? Remember we talk about negative chatters. Okay, yeah. Yes, we appreciate our mind. I think that's a good start because we kind of need to know all these rules that we have learned. But then again, we're still having this problem, okay, because all these negative thoughts is in our mind. But to make it even a bigger problem is because a lot of us wants to be getting rid of these negative thoughts 100%. We tell ourselves that we want it to be gone, zero. When there's all these negative thoughts, I wish I do not have all these thoughts in our life. We wish. For some of you who came earlier, you probably remember what I said just now. I guess our goal, right, throughout our life or even today is not to totally get rid of them, because there will be times where these thoughts still appear in our mind, right? So it's not about getting rid of them, but it's to really seeing it reduce in our life so that we are more in control of all these thoughts rather than having these thoughts control us. Okay, and why do I say it's a problem? It's a problem because what happens for the people who say that, no, I want it to be gone in our life, totally gone, 100%. What happens is that, yes, your thoughts and feelings are not the problem. Actually, it's not about having those thoughts. The problem is, okay, when we respond them in rigid and inflexible ways, which I'll explain later what it means, And the reason is because why I said we can't reduce them, because the more we want to avoid them, the more we say, I want it to be away from our lives, it increases our suffering. And this is based on research, right? The more we avoid them, the more we increase our suffering. All right, because it will be really deep-seated in our lives such that it becomes like a permanent, unwanted guest. Right. So it's just like this analogy, right? If today there's this unwanted guest came to your house, right? What will you do, everybody? Okay, let me know in the chat. Will you open the door for the unwanted guest? Let's say it's an unwanted relative. Okay. Or it's something that you really don't like, right? It keeps knocking at the door. Hey, come on, I want to come in. Will you open the door for the person or will you not? Okay, tell me in the chat, just yes or no, right? Yes means you will open the door for the person. No, you say no, I won't open the door for a person. Or there could be another answer. I don't know. Just please let me know in the chat. Will you open
a while to process.
You don't want to process.
Take a while to process.
A while to process, right?
Yeah, because I had this real experience of like what you say, a pretty close relative that suddenly shows up at your door. That was like I was like, hey, you could have called me first, right? And then it felt very awkward because at that time we were wanting to go out for breakfast or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So what happened in the end? Open? Don't open?
In the end we asked him to join us for breakfast.
Okay. Right. It takes time to process. To Eugene
Yeah.
for sharing, because sometimes it's really difficult. We don't know. Right? Should we open? Should we not open? So think about this, right? If let's say we didn't open, what happens to the knocks? Sometimes the knocks gets louder and louder. Like, I know you're inside. How come you don't open the door? Please let me come in, right? Keep knocking and knocking, right? So, and this is what happens to a lot of us, right? A lot of times that, sometimes we just think that, hey, I don't want all these thoughts to come. Go away. I don't want to open the door. I just want to resist all these negative thoughts. But this is based on research. Research shows that the more we avoid them, the more we tell ourselves we don't want, the more it increases our suffering. So what we can do is perhaps we can open the door, right? We can even welcome the negative thoughts. Welcome doesn't mean, oh, I love to have you. Right? It doesn't mean I love you, right? But it just means that, okay, thank you, welcome, right? You're telling me some the moment I see you means that there's something that you're telling me. So thanks for coming. We can even thank the thought. Okay, but of course, we do not want to see this unwanted guest, in our house forever. And that's where we have to get rid of it after a while. We want to see it come for a while, say it, acknowledge it, but we can also see it go after a while. Right? So that is really what we want to do. Okay? So therefore, okay, what we want to do is this, right? The second problem, right? Actually, the first problem is that what we want to learn, the implication of this first part is that, we don't want to avoid it. We want to see it come. We can even acknowledge it. We may not love it, right? We don't appreciate it in that sense, but we still see the benefit of it coming, right? Because the more we, reject them, the more it increases our suffering. Okay, so that's the first thing that we want to remember. Now, the second problem is also that, which a lot of us have, right, is that we are actually fused with these thoughts. Okay, what does fuse means? Okay, imagine my hand, right? Okay, so if I put my hand very far away from me, I can see the surrounding. I can have a good picture of what's in my room, for example. But if I actually put my hand closer to my eyes, and you probably don't see my face anymore, and it also limits my vision, which means that I am not able to see a lot of things anymore. So that is what fusion means. So a lot of times it becomes a problem when we are fused with all these thoughts, right? Which means that we are really stuck. We can't move out. So we are fused with the past. A lot of things in the past perhaps causes us to be guilty, right? Like, if only I've done this, then this wouldn't happen, right? Ever have these thoughts before? If only, right? So you regret, you feel guilty about what happened in the past. Some of us are fused with the future, all the what ifs. What if this happen? What if my presentation next week don't go well? If I don't get promoted, if I didn't manage to do this on time? What if I didn't manage to submit? What if, right? So a lot of what ifs in our mind. And when we are fused with the future, with all the what ifs, that's where anxiety happens. Agree? Second part. And the third part is we are fused with the self-concept. So that is where some of you mentioned, right, this morning, I feel like I'm not good enough. I don't think I'm good. Maybe other people better than me. right? Will I be able to do this? I feel lousy about myself. I don't think I deserve the success. All right, that's where we are fused with the self-concept. And these are the typical three things that we're always fused by, right? The past, the future, and the self-concept. So question, okay? What is hooking you? What are you fused by? If today I were to have a video camera trying to record, all your thoughts and all of your behavior, feelings and all, right? What will I see when I play back the video recorder? Will I see that you are really fused with the past, so fused with the future, or fused with self-concept? If you can, let me know into the chat. Either past, future, or self. Because once again, this is where we really want to talk about being aware, right? Awareness is really important. If you're not even aware of what's hooking you, then it's really difficult to even talk about solutions, right? So we kind of need to really know what is hooking you, and therefore later on, right, with some of these strategies, you're able to link it back to what's hooking you or what you're fused by. Right? Anybody? Okay, just type. You don't have to unmute yourself for this, but just type it into the chat. Okay. Yeah, future and self-concept. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, self. All right. The more I think I'm not good enough, my confidence drop and really become not good enough. Thanks for sharing. And it's good that you're aware, right? So when we are able to be aware of it, it's awareness already, right? It helps us, right, to think of solutions later on as well. Okay, wonderful. Good. And any other? Right, or some people say that it could be really the past, the future, what is everything. Yeah, the past, present thoughts that affect the future. That's right. So sometimes the past and even some of these thoughts, okay, affects what we think of, right, as well, right? It affects the future as well.
She's still thinking of the lemon. Kidding, Papa.
Yeah, right. So sometimes actually it's true, so sometimes because of what we think of in the morning, right, it can actually affect the everyday, right? Even later on as well.
I wish it was just the lemon that's coming into my mind, but it's something else.
Something else.
Yes.
So you got it. Thank you, Fatma. Thanks for sharing. Okay, yeah, whatever it is, okay, at least we are aware. So the second thing, right? Just now we talk about appreciating our brain, and whatever we are doing right now is actually awareness of our feelings and thoughts. Right, and that's where not just Pathma, but all of us start to be a bit more aware already. Okay, instead of just living our life as autopilot, which I've been doing for many years in the past. By day in, day out, we just go to work, doing the same old thing again and again without really reflecting. Right, and that affects us because after a while, we don't know why we are living in that sense. We're burning out. We don't even know that, hey, actually all these things are happening, but we just do not know it, right? Because we're not aware. Okay, so what I've helped you right now is that, hey, we are getting a little bit of awareness about feelings and thoughts. Okay, so that's the part 2. Now, so part 3, and that's where we want to talk about accepting our thoughts. Accepting our thoughts. So I'm going to give you an analogy. Quicksand. We do not have quicksand in Singapore, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. This don't really happen in Singapore, right? But it always happened in like those movies, in those shows where the bad guy run, and suddenly he fall in the quicksand. Okay, I don't know about you, but I think when I was young, I watched movies like that. Okay, so think about this, right? What's the best way to get out of a quicksand?
That's a good one.
Best way, yeah, to get out of a quicksand. Anybody knows that?
Get someone to pull you out.
Okay, get someone to pull you out, and then the person will get stuck inside with
The
you.
person will fall also.
Yeah. So usually, okay, let me tell you the answer. Anybody actually expert in this, or you read this before, you found this before? I mean, you read somewhere before. Okay, so the best way to get out of a quicksand, sometimes we think that is to struggle out, right? Like, wow, we are stuck, so let me pull myself up and things like that. But of course, the more we do that, the more we'll get stuck in it. So in a way, the best way to get out of the quicksand is to lie flat. That means just to do nothing. Okay, lie flat. And somehow you will have a better chance of you getting out of it. All right. So why are we sharing this? Just now we talk about the unwanted guest, right? Okay, it's very similar that I want to actually share forth with you. The acceptance of thoughts really means this. A lot of times we think the more we struggle, the more we want to fight this battle, but a lot of times avoidance increases our suffering. The more we fight it, the more we resist it, the worse it will get sometimes. So just like the quicksand approach, perhaps a lot of times the one of the best way, right, is not to fight it, all right, but is to let it stay for a while. All right, I'll explain a bit more because the moment I say, let it stay, but what if now it becomes worse, let it stay. That's why I say for a while, right? Which means that letting it stay, which means you welcome the unwanted visitor, like what I mentioned. Hey, thoughts, you are here. I see you. Okay. I acknowledge your presence. And that's what I mean, acknowledgement. And not to see and say, wow, shoo, you need to go away right now. I need to get rid of you. All right. So that is the very first thing that we need to talk about. And therefore, if we talk about the quicksand approach, okay, it's really about this thought that, you see, this is a very important strategy that I've used it for myself as well. So for example, let's do this together, right, with me. So with a thought that you have just now, okay, whatever thought that you have, maybe not good enough, okay, you are going to say this. So for example, you're not going to say this, Eugene, Kelly, Puffman, Lina, Hui Fang, I'm not good enough. Oh yeah, Kelly, I feel so lousy, I'm not good enough. You're not going to say that. But you're going to tell yourself that, hey, Kelly, I am having the thought that I'm not good enough. You see the difference? So what you're doing, essentially, you're trying to notice your thoughts. Right? It's not you, right? It's not that you are lousy. It's that you are having the thoughts that you are lousy. You see the difference? Is you are having the thoughts that I'm not good enough, or maybe I don't think I can do the presentation well next week. I think, I don't think I can do it, right? It's not that you can't do it, but it's you are having the thoughts that you can't. So by saying this, what you're essentially doing is that you are distancing yourself away from the thoughts. Right? Remember just how I mentioned, a lot of times you're fused by the thoughts, like it's really right in your face, right? So near. But by saying this, you are actually having a little bit of distance away from the thought. So that's step one. Now, if you want it to be even further away, you could even say something like, I notice, right? To add in the word notice, trying to give a greater distance. So I notice I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. I notice I'm having the thought that I won't succeed, right? I notice. So this is a very, very important strategy. I would say a very wonderful strategy. A lot of people have tried. My clients have tried, and it does help, right? To get a little bit of control. Because one, it is not so, right smack at your face. What you will realize that is that, you will get a little bit of, control, more control over all these thoughts and not letting those thoughts affect you. Okay. So let me just pause for 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds enough. Just say it out. Okay, wherever you are, just say it out. Put your thoughts there, but just say it out. I am having the thought that, whatever, fill in the blanks. And then I notice that I'm having the thoughts that, fill in the blanks. All right, just for 10 seconds. Okay. Done. All right. So let's move on. So what we are essentially doing, right, when we are doing that is you're actually mindful, right? The mindfulness, a lot of people have been talking about mindfulness right now. And this is not a mindfulness session now, but it's still about mindfulness, right? Because what are we doing essentially is that we are paying attention, okay, to what's really happening to our body, to our life, to our thoughts, with openness, curiosity, kindness. And that kindness is really important. Kindness is that, hey, whatever that comes, we are not judging it. We are not saying that, Kelly, you cannot have this, right? Because you're a leader, what? Can you imagine, have leaders who say that, hey, you're a leader, you have to be really strong for your team. You cannot be like that. You cannot be, having all these thoughts. So you need to be, always like not overwhelmed because you have to be a role model. That's not true, right? Leaders can also be vulnerable at times. So we have to be kind to ourselves. Right? And curiosity really means, I like to, as a coach, I love to use these two words, three words, what is happening, what's happening. So whenever I feel that's not right, that there's this thing that coming to your mind, right? Negative thoughts. Or sometimes you may not even feel that, you may not even be aware of there's a thought there, right? Maybe it could be a little bit of heart palpitation. Sometimes when I get anxious, I will have that. So I'm just really trying to be curious about, hey, what's happening, Kelly? What's happening to you? When you have that, what's happening? So these are my three favorite words. Instead of judging yourself and say, oh, maybe Kelly, you're stressed, or maybe, maybe it's just a neck pain because you're seated in the same position too long. Without even judging it, or without even confirming what is it all about, I just want to ask myself, hey, I think that three words is really, really important, and see the results of it when I'm being curious All right, it helps me to acknowledge myself more, and it's always one of the first few steps before we even talk about resolve all these negative thoughts. Right, so being mindful is really important. So we are talking about appreciating our brain, awareness of feelings and thoughts, accepting our thoughts, right? So whatever we talk about, it's really trying to accept it, acknowledge it, rather than resisting it, right? Now, the last one, that's where we want to talk about what other actions we can take to silence all these negative thoughts. So let me just share with you one of my favorite technique that I learned, okay, right, that I learned, and this is actually, it is called anchoring the boat, right, ACE. Now, what does this? A is acknowledge your inner experience, which we have done just now. Okay, whatever that's happening, we acknowledge it. We say, hey, this is what's really happening. I feel lousy, I feel worried, I don't think I can do it, right? Acknowledging what's happening to your body, to your thoughts, that's A. Now, coming back to the body, what does this mean, right? This is not just distracting yourself, but coming to your body really means being present. Okay, really being present to what's really happening, right? It could be, okay, example, this is what I want all of us to start doing it with me. Okay, I want everybody to pay attention to your breath. So take a deep breath, everybody. Okay, I want you to kind of listen to your heartbeat. Listen to the breath. Feel the warm breath that's going through your body. Are you able to do that? Okay, so what essentially you are doing, right, is you are paying attention back to what is present. Right, it could be seeing your feet, okay, I want everybody to do that, putting your both feet on the floor, okay, with your sole and everything, okay, on the floor, exactly onto the floor, that you're touching the floor, right? Or it could be doing some stretches, okay, shifting left, shifting right, doing some stretches. Pay attention to what's really happening to your body. All right, so that's what it means, coming back to the body, being present. Why I say present, right? Because remember I mentioned, if you're fused by the future, that's really causing a lot of anxiety, right? Because future is something that we can't control. Am I right to say that? Can you control the future, everybody? Can you not? Yes or no? We can't, right? We can influence the future. Yes, that's right. But whether or not it will really be like what you really want it to be, I don't think we can do it 100%. We can't control 100%. But we can influence it, but we can't control 100%. Can we control the past? The past is gone, unfortunately, and we can't control the past. The only thing that we can control is the present. It's the present. So by coming back to the body, by focusing on the present, it's really helpful, right? To get us into that calm state, that we are feeling grounded, right? Now, another thing to help you as well is to engage with the world. Coming back to the body, you can also engage with the world, because whatever that's happening right now in the world is present. So I have this favorite technique I have. Of course, it didn't come from me. There's different people who talk about it, right? Have you heard of this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method? Right, some of you may have heard of this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. So it's really this, right? This technique is really, really good for people who feel very overwhelmed, right? And when you feel that, hey, a lot of times you feel so overwhelmed by a lot of different things, a lot of different thoughts, they start to overthink, like thought A becomes thought B, becomes thought C, right? I have this client, right? She's she had this overthinking issue. So what happens is that she made a mistake, okay, right? And because she made a mistake, she went into she goes on, her thoughts goes on to think that, hey, my boss will scold me for that, right? Then when my boss scold me, I won't, I won't have a good life in the company, yeah. And then that thought goes on to say that, wow, I don't think I can do it anymore. I don't think I can work in this company anymore, right? Can you see how the thought escalate? All right, thought 1 became thought 2, thought 3, thought 4, and then it becomes something more serious. So a lot of times we may be in this situation where, our thoughts just keep on, like stirring up in our mind. So engaging with the world helps us, right, to first calm ourselves down, to feel grounded, so that we start to take control of our body, right? When we start to take control of our body, then, we can talk about changing our thoughts. But we can't change our thoughts when our body is really in that tension, in that tense zone. Okay, so for example, this is a good technique. You can try it if you want to, right? Whenever you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, yeah. Name 5 things you can see. So everybody, I want you to, look around you and name 5 things you can see. So it could be the charger, the mouse, the phone, all right? Just name, okay? Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, name 4 things you can hear. The sound of the birds, the cars, all right? 3 things that you can smell, 2 things you can touch, and 1 thing you can taste. Right? So as you're going to name all these things, guess what? So once again, you're actually focusing on the present moment. Right? Because a lot of times when your emotions are high, you're not logical. Your logic is low. So that's the reason why a lot of people would say, hey, if I try to focus on other positive things, but how come it's so difficult? That's because our body is also tense as well. So we need to kind of make sure that our body is less tense, to focus on our body, make it relaxed. Then we can talk about something that's logical. Okay, so this is the ACE method. Okay. And therefore, and that's where, I want to also share with you some questions that's really helpful to ask ourselves. All right, because a lot of times, yes, now that our body is calm, maybe our emotions are a bit lower right now, we can therefore challenge ourselves by asking some of this very, very helpful question. I love all these questions. It has helped me a lot. It has helped my clients a lot. Okay, let me just talk about an example. Okay, so some of us will say that, oh, I can't do this well. Right? Or, like my client will say, oh, I don't think I get promoted. Right? Okay. Or or sometimes this another example. For example, you receive an email from the boss, and then your boss asks you to see him or her the next morning, 9 a.m., maybe on a Monday morning. Then you think to yourself, oh no, something's gonna happen. Maybe I'll get some bad results, or maybe my boss is going to scold me or things like that, right? So a lot of all these thoughts, come into our mind, and it affects us. So I like to ask people this question: what's the evidence that this will happen? That your boss is really going to scold you? What's the evidence? Is it a fact or feeling? You know what's a fact? A fact is, okay, we have 13 of us today, right? The fact is, all of us today in the session today will feel that that means it's a fact. That means 100% of us, all of us will agree to the fact. Feeling is we have all this number of people here today, right? Some of us will say A, some of us will have a different perception of things. Okay, so let me give you an example. Can all of you tell me what is a fact? A fact of anything, a fact of the world, a fact. Tell me a fact. And all of us will have to agree that this is really true. Any fact here? For example, the world is round, right? Is it a fact? Yes, anybody disagree? Okay, the sun rises. Yes, the sun will rise. That's right. Correct. The sun will definitely rise. It's a fact, right? Okay, and we even know that it rises from the east or west. The sun will rise. Definitely. Thank you, Hui Fang. Okay, yes, thank you, Jay. We really do have 24 hours a day. How many of you will say no, 36, 38, 36 hours? No, right? Or 12 hours? No, right? All of us will agree to that. That's a fact. Okay, what is a feeling? A feeling is a perception. Thank you, Jay. Feeling is a perception that some of us will say yes, some of us will say no. What could be a perception?
My boss texts me, oh no, she's gonna scold me.
Yes, that's a perception, right? It may not be true. It may not be really scolding you, right? Now, what about this perception? My boss is nice. Perception or not? I used to have this very nice boss, really very nice. And I do think he's really, really nice. But some people will think that he's not nice. Too nice. He's too nice. That means I don't think that means I like my boss because he's nice, right? But some people will say, I don't like my boss because he's too nice. Right? So all of us will have different perception of things. Even the greatest celebrity, right? Those, in Singapore, we have Star Awards, those that won Star Awards, right? The greatest celebrity, thousands, millions of people liking the person. But then you also realize that there's a lot of people who dislike this person, because all of us will have different perception of things. So a lot of times we feel that this is true, and therefore we feel worried, we feel anxious, we don't feel confident. So I want all of us to challenge yourself, right? Is it a fact or is it feeling? Is it what you think? It is true. Maybe it's your reality, but is it the reality 100%? right? So this is a game changer. This sentence is a game changer, because a lot of times when we start to be really, really, trying to put into a correct perspective, ask ourselves, is it a fact or feeling? And that's where you may come to this conclusion. I usually come to this conclusion that, hey, actually it's not true. Who says I can't do it? Who says I'm not good? Actually, it's just a feeling, but it may not be true. And that's where you will start to have a different, different action, different emotions that comes out of that thought. Okay, remember, you are what you think. So the moment it's trying to change your thoughts, okay, ask yourself important questions like this, and that's where you also find yourself feeling better. Okay, so these are some questions that's really, really helpful. Okay, another question, is there another way of seeing this? We are so used to seeing things in this way, right? That's why we call it a tunnel vision. In psychology, we call it tunnel vision. All right, but as we are able, for example, we put ourselves up, imagine us sitting on a helicopter, and that's where you realize that you have a different form of vision, because your vision, okay, you start to see things bigger, right? Imagine sitting on a helicopter versus looking down, right? You perhaps see things differently. So literally ask yourself this question, I think he don't care about me because he sends me a one-sentence email. I asked him to write me so many things. I asked for help, but he only sent me one sentence. I don't think he cares about me, for example. But is there another way of saying this? Could there be some other reasons that you are not seeing, for example? All right. Will this be still a problem in 6 months' time? We think that it's a problem right now. But sometimes, right, as we ask ourselves this question, we may realize that, hey, you know what? This is just a simple problem. It may not affect us as much as this, as much as how it's affecting me right now. Right. So these are just some 4 questions. Of course, there could be many, many other questions, but today I just want to be able to share. I just want to share this with you that, hey, these are one of the, some of the 4 really important questions that I really like. It's helped me, help a lot of my clients, and I want to be able to help you as well. Now, let's do a little summary about today's session. Okay, what I've done this morning, 4 things, right? We have talked about appreciating our brain, right? We remember the rules of the mind. So therefore, we remember what we want to really input in our brain. Okay, because we are who we are what we think, all right? And then we also talk about being aware of our feelings and thoughts. Then we also talk about accepting it and not resisting it, right? Remember the technique about I notice. Okay, this is, what I'm feeling. This is my thought. I notice, all right? Being mindful, being curious and being kind. All right. And of course, lastly, we also talk about taking some appropriate actions like the ACE method and some of these questions, okay, to challenge our mind. So with these 4 methods, okay, it will help us to silence it, okay? Maybe once again, not 100%, but to see it reduce in our lives. All right. And today, before we end, I really want to ask this important question, because to me, that's really, really a very important question. Okay, most important question we need to ask ourselves. Okay, what are you taking away? Which means that what is one thing that you have taken away and you really want to practice in your life, right? Because if you are here to just listen to the theory and to really listen to, oh, this is good, but nothing changed, because you didn't manage to apply it, then I tell you that our life will be like that, right? And that's what we know. Okay, if you want to see our life being changed, then that's where we really want to be able to apply some of these concepts that we learned and apply it consistently. Doesn't mean that today I tried this, it doesn't work, never mind, but habits need time to build. If you want to rewire your brain, we first have to start, start to put on actions that is really relevant, that is really important, okay, and do it consistently. Okay, so tell me in the chat, what is one thing that you want to do today that will make a difference to you? Or what have you taken away that's helpful for you? All right, I just want to see some answers into the chat, because this will serve as your commitment. Everybody, okay, your commitment and research does show that the moment we are able to write in something, type in something, say it out, express it, then likelihood, all right, our chances of succeed will be higher. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Fatma. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. Awesome. That's wonderful. Okay, that's really, really a wonderful method. Jay, thank you. Live in the present and differentiate between feelings and fact. Thank you for sharing. And Vincent, be aware and accept our thoughts. Okay, wonderful. And keep it coming, everybody. Keep it coming. All right. So if you found this session helpful, all right, do connect with me. All right. If you feel that, hey, you want to really speak to someone about, how to even help yourself to be even better, right, in terms of your thoughts, because you have some negative thoughts and you really want to, talk to someone about it. All right, do connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Okay, let's have a chat. I am also on Facebook. In fact, I'm also on Instagram and all. So just search for my name and connect with me. And I also do have this positive well-being community channel, which I do share for some, some articles, some resources as well on how to have positive well-being. If you find that that's helpful for you as well, do scan a QR code and join me in the channel. Okay, thank you, Eugene. The powerful questions. All right, thank you so much. All right, thank you, Pafma. Looking forward to connect with you. All right. Awesome. Any questions that you may have for me today? I think, any questions? So we've come to the end of today's session, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, and do stay connected, and can connect more on LinkedIn. Thank you, Lena. Thank you for coming. All right, I think Eugene will be here for a while, right? A few minutes, a minute or two. So if you do have any questions, do let me know so that I can also, answer some of your questions as well.
Yeah, I think let's take 1 or 2 minutes to just scan and connect with Kelly, right? I think it's important that and if you found the session useful, I think it's best that you once you connect with her and say, hey Kelly, I found your session very useful and all that. And I think that certainly helps. We would like to thank Civil Service Club of course for this opportunity. Next week, if you guys can join in, it's the same time, Saturday next week. What I'll do is the same Zoom ID I will change to next week's session. Next week's session is create a lasting and personal brand and style at work. Is by this guy called Nick Issa, which is he's into fashion and styling and branding. So I think that will be quite interesting, right? So if you guys so what I'll do is right after this session I'll change it to next week's session, and you will be informed of the Zoom for next week as well, right? So in the meantime, let's take a couple of minutes to see if you have any questions for Kelly, since Kelly is still around. And go ahead. Any question that you want to know?
All right. Thank you, everybody. I just want to say, while you're thinking of the questions, I just want to say thank you for your participation today. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Eugene, for having me. Thank you, Civil Service Club, for having me as well. And hope all of us will have an awesome Saturday. Yeah? I think that's really important. Okay. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Jane.
Daily. Yeah.
Thank you,
Fatma,
Shimi.
Lina.
Thank you, Lina. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks Wei Fang. Thanks everybody that's here. Okay, looks like we don't have any questions. So with that, we thank you, and we bring this session to a close. If you want the recording, it will be at imseoking.com. I'll just type out. So do look out, do subscribe on my YouTube channel for more things, and do connect to Kelly's positive well-being community Telegram. I think that's quite good. I'm trying to scan the QR code also.
Thank you, Eugene. All right. Take care, everybody.
All right. If not, then thanks everybody, and we see you. All right. Cheers.
Thank you.